Hi everyone, thank you so much for staying here. We are really excited to be back at KubeCon after 3 years. It's a pleasure for me to share my experience and communicate with you all. Today, we'd like to make a report under the title, How Kubernetes Upstream Training Has Been Held in Japan for 4 years. Getting over the COVID-19 situation. I'm Mutou in Japan and working at NEC. I joined the Kubernetes community at the end of 2018 and keep on contributing to Kubernetes dashboard. And now I'm one of the SIG-UI chairs. And she is a promising new member of our team.
Yes, I'm Ziyi from NEC Japan, currently working on the Japanese translation of the dashboard and website. Although I've joined the community for just 1 year, but I really learned a lot during this whole process from the community members, especially my boss, Mutou-san, and also from other upstream training members. So I still have a lot of things I want to share, and I'm going to save it till the end if we have the time. So let's get started. 3 years ago, we have shared how to hold upstream training at SanDiego, since most of you may not have heard about this part. So I want to do some quick review here. So first, let's look back at why we run new contributor workshop in Japan. Here we have to mention the reasons that prevent people from joining our community. First is the language barrier. Compared with people in Europe and the United States, people in Eastern countries, such as Japanese, are actually not used to speaking English. However, it seems like everyone in the community have to communicate in English, and mastering English is the only way to be better integrated into the team. And second, cultural barrier. In community, everyone is expected to speak up, actively brainstorm together, and draw conclusions through the whole process. However, Japanese people tend to think a lot before they speak, and therefore miss the opportunities to state their opinion. And this leads them to think more. That's a vicious cycle that will cause them to be more and more afraid to speak up. That's why we hold this upstream training. We want to encourage more and more people to get involved into our community. For those who are interested but don't know how to start, where to start, our trainings offer an opportunity to walk them through the whole process of making contributions, and at the end of the day, most of them will go home with their very first pull request. And we also want to make friends and solve problems related to Kubernetes in Japan in the language we are used to. And most important part is, we want to deliver the following message. Even if you're not fluent in English, you can say anything. Everyone in community is very kind, so don't be afraid to start. And next is about how to hold this training. You're probably doing something similar every day. So there are 5 steps to go. First, you communicate with contributor experience folks on Slack in advance. Next, you prepare the practice environment where people can make contributions during the training without affect any other Kubernetes projects. And you can do this by creating a directory for your training or area in Kubernetes SIG contributor playground repository with a pull request. Then there are some works about organizing trainers. Trainers should be one of the Kubernetes SIG organization members so that they can review and merge trainees' pull requests. You need to add trainers into the owners file under your training directory. And after that, prepare a training text in your language and share it with the trainees in advance. In our case, since we basically speak Japanese at our events, but in order to help trainees integrate better into our community in the future, we also share some tips for English communication. I think you might have the same thought the same thing with us, that there are a lot of things we wanted to share, but the truth is, we don't have that much of time. In our case, half a day. So we have to make some cutbacks. For example, the hands-on sessions for K8s modification, building, and testing process can be very time-consuming. Also, the development environment varies considerably across in the projects, so it's impossible to introduce all of them. For such contents, we have to give up the hands-on sessions and only introduce it briefly. The practical session we can offer now is to create a pull request in the contributor playground. And then last, inform trainees about the homework. Actually, the trainees also have some homework to do. For example, they need to create a GitHub account, install Git in their laptop, try to get used to the Git if they have the time, clone the playground repository you just created, join the official Kubernetes Slack, and get the CLA signed. Then you're ready to go. To have more people join our community and make more friends, let's hold upstream training in your country. So if you are interested, or if you want to communicate with us, or if you have some suggestions or something, feel free to contact us anytime. I believe there will be more and more people willing to participate into our activities. And here, a special thanks to Bob, Gravenier, Nikita, and Paris for helping us to get our training started. They're actually the SIG contributor experience folks we just mentioned in the last part, the ones we have to contact on Slack in advance. Thanks so much for their assistance. And we were able to hold this event successfully in the previous years under their kindly help. And that's all I would like to share from the last report 3 years ago.
And so this time, we'd like to share how we improve our upstream training and keep holding it even in the COVID-19 situation. Back in 2020, the situation is so bad that people can't leave their house. So we have no choice but to hold our events online. Here are some pros and cons that we considered before running the online training. The first pro is that there are no travel expenses. It means that the barriers to participate is lowered, and people with limited travel funds, like students, can participate. Some students in university could participate our session trainings, and also trainees can participate in their own location and situation. There is a trainee who doesn't have quiet room, so he can participate from his car. Even people who are raising children could participate our training. And people who are not strong in physical can participate. They are very helpful in expanding our community. Also, these are same for trainers. the above advantages also apply to us. In fact, I have a back pain, so it's hard to walk around the classroom. So this is very helpful for me. And the event leader does not need to arrange the venue for this online training. On the other hand, there was a concern about intimate support, like one-on-one, would be difficult. We can't look at the trainees' computers and tell them what to do next, like we used to do. Communication is as convenient as before, or through the screen, we thought. Actually, to be honest, we were worried at first. However, we have to do it online, so we've been practicing the ingenuity and improvement that we can think of. In 2020, we could only prepare a Zoom meeting, so we used it. As of now, we know that we have few options to connect with our audience in Zoom, meeting and webinar and breakout. With the webinar, when attendees want to share their screen with us, we have to take a few extra steps, like a raising hand and promoting to the panelists. It can take a while before the trainees share it. Also, breakout rooms require a few extra steps we share with all the trainees. We found that closer interaction is possible in the meeting style than the webinar and breakout room. Currently, various functions have been added to Zoom, but we do not want to raise the barriers to trainees, so we continue to use only the basic meeting style. The key here is to create an atmosphere where everyone can talk and chat. In particular, trainees often stumble on the CLA check, so it is important to post assignments in advance to ensure that they have sufficient time to prepare. And we make all of training resources available for trainees' preparation. This allows trainees to refer to the material from our previous event and also to review the context anytime they want to after the event. As trainers, our workload is also reduced because of it. Here, let me show you some numbers. In fact, lots of the trainees were available to submit their pull requests in online training. Its percentage was significantly higher than in person. Rather, sharing with everyone on Slack or Zoom and learning how to solve problems remotely matched the community manner. So a concern about difficulty of one-on-one was an unfounded fear. I'd like to introduce other improvements. First, we prepared a Slack channel and used them in our training. JP Dev channel is for asking technical helps or review requests, and JP Mentoring is for asking helps about community activities. To motivate trainees, we asked trainees to express their enthusiasm in advance on the Slack channel. It would be the first step to join Kubernetes community. And we took photos and made it public so that they are aware that they become a member of the community. For about a week after training, our follow-up is carried out until the trainees' pull requests are merged. From the results of the survey for our training, we reflected the opinions. At the first training, our training was held within the event, so some people were unable to participate because there was a lot of overlap with other sessions, so it was changed to a co-located event. Also, there were requests that they would like to know the actual state of development, so we added introductions to the development environment of KubeSpray website and dashboard, which is the activity area of the trainers. We especially think that documentation and translation are good places to start contributing, and we have some trainees who actually continue to translate. Also, we made video and published it to YouTube, then created ad hoc directory available so that trainees can take training on demand. Trainees may not be ready for their corporate CLA right away, so they need to coordinate with their company. So we introduce them individual CLA at first. Many useful online tools help sharing everything with everyone, each other, instantly. And we found that online training is more practical for contributor. But sometimes we want to meet people in person, communicate with them in the real resolution, and feel their warmth. Maximum of 40 trainees were allowed. Many trainees came to the online training in person. The trainers were getting busy handling lots of pull requests. However, during that time, the trainees tried various pro commands, commented on other trainees' pull requests, and had various experiences. Also, we could see interactions between trainees. The percentage of pull requests merged was significantly higher online than in person. If trainees come to events in person, they might want to participate, but trainees who participate online and co-located event, they have clearly positive intention. I think that's the reason of these results. In a non-English native country, motivating encouragement and support in the local language can be a great help in getting started. Online training have already become the default, and it is more practical for contribution. It is effective to publish all training resources in the open source manner. And it is important to train in the environments like GitHub or Slack that actually used in the Kubernetes community and make them feel like they are already part of the community. All of our resources are on GitHub, so please see it. At last, a big thank you to all the event organizers who invited us. Especially thank you, Aoyama-san, for inviting us 6 times.
I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I was very confused when I first joined our community. Always struggling with where to start and how to start, and always on the sidelines, afraid of making any moves. So as time goes by, I'm getting a sense of the atmosphere in our community. It was then that I realized it is indeed important to do a great job, but the willingness to make contributions actively is more important. I'm joining our upstream training team now and will join as a trainer for the first time in November. And I'm currently trying my best to study and prepare for this. And I believe there will be people thought the same way with me. And I hope my experience can be helpful. So please let me introduce our future plans. This year, our trainings are scheduled to be held at public events of CloudNative Days Tokyo 2020 in November and Okinawa Open Days 2022 in December. So as you can see in the screen, Okinawa Open Days 2022 will be held in a hybrid environment, which is a new challenge for us, and a maximum number of the participants have been raised to 80. Compared to previous trainings, the number of the participants doubled and the number of trainers also increased. And we are planning to introduce Easy CLA this year, since, like we just mentioned, trainees often stumble on the CLA check. And in order to make our trainings more and more helpful, we are also constantly looking for new ideas. And we would like to share how the trainings in hybrid goes on, and also other improvements if we get a chance. And that's all from us. Thanks.